Prince Harry's world just got turned upside down. And this time it's not because of another palace scandal or a tell-all interview gone wrong. No, this bombshell comes from someone who knew Meghan Markle long before the royal drama, the Hollywood dreams, or the carefully crafted public persona. We're talking about Ninaki Priddy, Meghan's childhood best friend, and she just went absolutely viral defending herself against some of the wildest accusations you've ever heard. Brace yourself, because what's unfolding right now is shaking the very foundation of everything we thought we knew about the Duchess of Sussex. Here's the tea that's got everyone talking. Ninaki, who's been relatively quiet on social media despite dropping truth bombs about Meghan over the years, suddenly found herself at the center of a bizarre conspiracy theory. People, and we're talking about Sussex Squad supporters, and even some royal watchers, started claiming that Ninaki Priddy isn't even real. They're suggesting her decades-long friendship with Meghan was somehow fabricated, that the photos of them together as teenagers were faked, and get this, that she might secretly be working with Meghan to spread misinformation. The audacity of these claims is absolutely staggering. But Ninaki wasn't about to let these accusations slide. She fired back on social media with a post that's now going viral, and honestly, it's the perfect clapback. She wrote, "According to some, I'm not me." Which begs the question, who's been living my memories? The simplicity of that statement cuts right through all the noise and conspiracy theories. It's a direct challenge to anyone questioning her existence and her very real, very documented history with Meghan Markle. Now, royal commentator P Dina jumped into the fray immediately, confirming what many already knew. She personally vouched for Ninaki's authenticity, stating flat out that she's spoken with her face to face, that she knows 100% this woman is exactly who she says she is. P Dina even told people to stop creating drama where there isn't any, to focus on the real issues at hand instead of spinning wild conspiracy theories about Meghan's childhood friends. But here's where it gets really interesting, and why Harry should be genuinely concerned. The timing of all this couldn't be worse. While Ninaki's defending her very existence online, Harry and Meghan are facing mounting pressure to have their royal titles stripped. They just joined an anti-artificial intelligence celebrity campaign specifically designed to annoy the White House, and insiders are calling it catastrophically bad timing. The royal family is dealing with a massive crisis involving Prince Andrew, and Parliament is actually discussing taking action against wayward royals. And what do Harry and Meghan do? They wade into American politics, lobbying against positions held by the current administration. The question everyone's asking is simple. What were they thinking? And more importantly, what does Ninaki's viral moment mean for the carefully constructed image Meghan spent years building? Let's rewind the clock and talk about who Ninaki Priddy really is, because understanding her connection to Meghan Markle is absolutely crucial to grasping why this viral moment matters so much. This isn't some casual acquaintance or fair-weather friend we're discussing. Ninaki and Meghan go back to when they were just 2 years old. Think about that for a second. 2 years old. These girls grew up together, shared their childhood dreams, navigated adolescence side by side, and built the kind of bond that most people only dream about having. The evidence of their friendship is undeniable. There are photographs, countless memories, and documented trips that prove this relationship was rock solid for decades. One of the most famous images shows teenage Meghan and Ninaki standing outside Buckingham Palace during a trip to the United Kingdom. How ironic is that? A young Meghan Markle posing outside the very palace she would one day enter as a duchess, completely unaware of the drama that awaited her. That photograph alone should put to rest any ridiculous claims that Ninaki is somehow fake, or that their friendship was manufactured. Renowned royal biographer Tom Bower extensively researched and documented this friendship in his work. This isn't some internet rumor or tabloid fabrication. This is well-established, thoroughly vetted information that's been verified by multiple credible sources. Ninaki was there for all of it. She witnessed Meghan's transformation from a regular girl with big dreams to an actress clawing her way up the Hollywood ladder. She saw the ambition, the drive, and yes, the calculated decisions that would later become such a massive part of the Meghan Markle story. But here's where things get messy, and this is the part that should terrify Harry. The friendship between Ninaki and Meghan didn't just fade away naturally like so many childhood friendships do. It ended abruptly, and the timing tells you everything you need to know. Sources close to the situation reveal that as Meghan got more serious with Prince Harry, old friends started dropping like flies. Ninaki was one of the casualties. The woman who'd been by Meghan's side since toddlerhood suddenly found herself cut off, discarded, erased from Meghan's new royal narrative. Think about what that says about Meghan's character. You don't just abandon a friendship that spans nearly 3 decades without a very calculated reason. Ninaki knew too much. She'd seen the real Meghan, the pre-fame Meghan, the woman behind the carefully curated Instagram posts and the polished royal appearances. And once Meghan set her sights on Prince Harry and that glittering royal life, anyone who could contradict the image she was building had to go. The really devastating part, Ninaki hasn't been shy about sharing what she knows. Over the years, she's dropped revelation after revelation about Meghan's true nature, her ruthless pursuit of fame, and the cold calculations that guided her relationships. These aren't vague insinuations or bitter rumors. These are specific, detailed accounts from someone who genuinely knew Meghan Markle inside and out. And now that friendship, that history, is being questioned by conspiracy theorists desperate to protect Meghan's crumbling reputation. Now let's talk about the damage Ninaki Priddy has done to Meghan's carefully constructed public image, because trust me, it's extensive and it's devastating. This isn't just an old friend sharing fond memories or harmless anecdotes from their youth. Ninaki has systematically dismantled the narrative Meghan spent years building, revealing a side of the Duchess that directly contradicts everything she's claimed about herself in interviews, podcasts, and that infamous Oprah tell-all. One of the most damaging revelations Ninaki shared involves Meghan's first marriage to Trevor Engelson. According to Ninaki, Meghan didn't just drift apart from Trevor or realize they were incompatible, as she might want people to believe. Sources claim Ninaki described Meghan's treatment of Trevor as cold and calculating. The moment Meghan's career started taking off with her role on Suits, the marriage became inconvenient. Trevor was allegedly blindsided when Meghan mailed her wedding rings back to him. Mailed them back. Can you imagine the cruelty of ending a marriage that way? Not a conversation, not even a phone call, just rings in the mail like returning a piece of unwanted merchandise. But it gets worse. Ninaki reportedly painted a picture of Meghan as someone obsessed with fame and status from a very young age. This wasn't a woman who stumbled into the spotlight or reluctantly accepted public attention. According to her childhood best friend, Meghan actively pursued celebrity, strategically planned her social climbing, and made relationship decisions based purely on what would advance her position. Every friendship, every romance, every career move was supposedly calculated for maximum benefit. The princess fantasy was apparently real too, and Ninaki had receipts. She's spoken about how Meghan was fascinated by Princess Diana long before Harry entered the picture, how she dreamed about that kind of life, that kind of attention. So when Meghan later claimed she knew nothing about the royal family before meeting Harry, that she didn't even Google him, insiders couldn't help but roll their eyes. Ninaki's revelations suggest Meghan knew exactly what she was doing, exactly who Harry was, and exactly what marrying into that family could mean for her public profile. Here's what makes these revelations so particularly brutal. Nike isn't some random hater or jealous ex-friend making things up for attention. She's someone with decades of first-hand experience, someone who has photographs, shared memories, and intimate knowledge that can't be easily dismissed. When she talks about Meghan's ruthless ambition, her pattern of discarding people once they've served their purpose, her obsession with reinventing herself for maximum advantage, it carries weight because she was there for all of it. The really uncomfortable truth for Harry? Everything Ninaki described about Meghan's pattern of behavior, the social climbing, the cold calculations, the strategic relationship decisions, it all played out exactly the same way with the royal family. Meghan got what she wanted from the palace, the global platform, the Duchess title, the humanitarian credentials, and then when things got difficult, when the institution wouldn't bend to her will, she convinced Harry to walk away. Just like she walked away from Trevor, just like she walked away from Ninaki. The pattern was always there, Harry just refused to see it. So how did we get from Ninaki Priddy being a credible source with decades of first-hand knowledge to suddenly being accused of not even existing? The conspiracy theory that's emerged is absolutely wild, and it tells you everything you need to know about how desperate Meghan's defenders have become. When the facts don't support your narrative, apparently the solution is to claim the facts themselves are fabricated. It's a level of delusion that would be funny if it wasn't so damaging to an innocent woman's reputation. The Sussex squad, that's Meghan and Harry's most devoted online supporters, started circulating theories that Ninaki Priddy might not be who she claims to be. Some suggested the entire friendship was manufactured, that the photographs of teenage Meghan and Ninaki outside Buckingham Palace were somehow doctored or faked. Others went even further, claiming that Ninaki is actually a plant, someone secretly working with Meghan to spread controlled misinformation that makes the Duchess look bad in small ways to distract from bigger scandals. The mental gymnastics required to believe this theory is truly staggering. But it wasn't just fringe Sussex squad members pushing this narrative. Some royal watchers, people who should frankly know better, started questioning Ninaki's authenticity too. Accounts like The Royal Grift apparently faced criticism for featuring Ninaki's insights, with skeptics suggesting something didn't add up, that maybe this woman wasn't real, that perhaps there was some elaborate deception at play. The paranoia reached fever pitch when people started analyzing old photographs, looking for evidence of digital manipulation, treating this like some kind of conspiracy thriller instead of what it actually is, a childhood friendship that ended badly. The reasoning behind these wild theories seems to be that if Ninaki's revelations about Meghan are so damaging, surely she must have ulterior motives. Surely no real childhood friend would speak so candidly about someone they once loved. The Sussex squad apparently can't fathom that maybe, just just maybe, Meghan genuinely treated people badly enough that they feel compelled to speak the truth about her character. Instead of accepting that Meghan might actually be the calculating social climber Ninaki describes, they'd rather believe in an elaborate conspiracy involving fake identities and doctored photographs spanning decades. What's particularly insidious about this conspiracy theory is how it attempts to erase a real woman's lived experience. Ninaki Pretty has memories, photographs, shared history with Meghan Markle that spans nearly 30 years. To claim she's not real, or that she's some kind of covert operative working for Meghan, is to invalidate her entire existence. It's gaslighting on a massive scale, and it's exactly the kind of toxic behavior that characterizes Meghan's most fervent defenders. The irony is almost too perfect. Meghan built her brand on being a voice for women, on empowering others, on calling out bullying and misinformation. Yet here are her supporters doing exactly that to another woman whose only crime was telling the truth about her experiences with Meghan. They're bullying Ninaki, spreading misinformation about her identity, and trying to silence her voice because it contradicts the carefully crafted Meghan Markle mythology. You genuinely cannot make this stuff up. Ninaki Priddy wasn't about to let these conspiracy theories destroy her reputation without fighting back, and when she finally responded, it was perfect. Her viral social media post cut through all the nonsense with a simplicity that made the conspiracy theorists look absolutely ridiculous. According to some, I'm not me, which begs the question, who's been living my memories? The elegance of that clapback is chef's kiss. She didn't need paragraphs of explanation or mountains of evidence. She just pointed out the absurdity of claiming someone doesn't exist when they very obviously do. The post exploded across social media, with thousands of people rallying to Ninaki's defense. Regular folks who'd been following the royal drama for years recognized the desperation in the conspiracy theories. They understood that when you can't attack the message, you attack the messenger, and when you can't even do that effectively, you claim the messenger doesn't exist. It's the ultimate form of denial, and Ninaki called it out beautifully. But the real validation came from people who actually know Ninaki personally, and this is where the conspiracy completely falls apart. P Dina, a respected royal commentator who's been covering the Sussex saga extensively, immediately jumped in to set the record straight. She didn't mince words. P Dina confirmed she's spoken with Ninaki face-to-face, that she communicates with her on social media regularly, and that she knows 100% this woman is exactly who she claims to be. If you need validation that Ninaki is real, P Dina essentially said, then believe me, because I'm telling you she absolutely is. P Dina went even further, calling out the ridiculousness of the entire situation. She told people to stop making drama out of nothing, to stop getting so caught up in Sussex squad paranoia, that they start seeing covert operations and undercover agents where there are none. The idea that Ninaki is secretly working with Meghan to undermine something or other, senseless. According to P Dina, completely and utterly senseless. The focus should be on the real issues at hand, not on wild conspiracy theories about childhood friends who dared to tell the truth. Other royal commentators echoed P Dina's sentiments, including Dan Wooten, who drew parallels to the unfair criticism the Markle family faces. Thomas Markle, Samantha Markle, the entire family has been accused of lying, of being in on some elaborate scheme, of fabricating their experiences with Meghan. It's the same playbook every time. When people close to Meghan speak out about her behavior, rather than considering that maybe their accounts have merit, the Sussex squad claims they're all liars, grifters, or secret operatives. It's exhausting, and it's deeply unfair to people who are simply sharing their truth. The viral moment did something important though. It exposed just how desperate Meghan's defenders have become. When you're reduced to claiming that a woman with decades of documented friendship, photographs, shared memories, and multiple credible sources vouching for her authenticity is somehow fake, you've lost the plot completely. Ninaki's simple question, who's been living my memories, remains unanswered because there is no answer. She's real. Her friendship with Meghan was real, and the damaging truths she's revealed are real too. The timing of Ninaki's viral moment couldn't be worse for Harry and Meghan, and here's why. While this drama about fake friendships and conspiracy theories plays out online, the royal couple is facing the most serious threat to their status since leaving the UK. We're talking about mounting pressure, real political pressure, to strip them of their royal titles completely. And they have nobody to blame but themselves for the catastrophically bad timing of their latest stunt. Harry and Meghan just joined a celebrity campaign calling for a ban on the development of artificial intelligence superintelligence. Now let me be clear about something. What on earth do they know about artificial intelligence? What qualifications do either of them have to weigh in on complex technology policy? The answer is absolutely nothing. But that hasn't stopped them from jumping into a political fight that directly targets the White House and the current administration's position on AI development. Royal commentators are calling this move insane. Completely and utterly insane. The royal family is dealing with a massive crisis right now. Prince Andrew is under investigation regarding where he's living and his ongoing use of royal privileges. The Prime Minister reluctantly backed calls for some type of official inquiry into Andrew's situation. Parliament is actually discussing taking legislative action against wayward royals. This is serious stuff, the kind of constitutional crisis that could genuinely damage the monarchy's standing. And what do Harry and Meghan do in the middle of all this? They start lobbying against American government policy, inserting themselves into political controversies they have no business touching. It's a direct violation of the understanding that royals, even former working royals, stay out of politics. They're essentially poking the bear at the worst possible moment, giving ammunition to everyone who's been calling for their titles to be removed. The optics are terrible too. Meghan's been reduced to catering events for D-list celebrities just to get invited to parties, according to some observers. Her relevance is slipping, her brand deals have largely fizzled out, and her attempts to maintain A-list status in Hollywood are becoming increasingly desperate. So naturally, she decides to weigh in on AI policy to stay in the headlines. It reeks of attention-seeking behavior, of grasping at any controversy that might keep her name trending. Here's what Harry doesn't seem to understand. Every time they pull a stunt like this, every time they inject themselves into political debates or controversial causes, they make it easier for Parliament and the palace to justify stripping their titles. The argument has always been that if they want to be private citizens, if they want to pursue commercial deals and political activism, then they can't keep the royal titles and privileges. They're proving that argument correct with every ill-advised campaign they join. Behind palace walls, a plan is taking shape that could end Harry and Meghan's royal status once and for all. And it's not King Charles driving this movement, it's Prince William. Sources close to the situation reveal that William has been pushing for decisive action, not just against Harry and Meghan, but against all the wayward royals who've been dragging the institution through the mud. We're talking about one sweeping piece of legislation, one letter's patent, that would strip titles from Prince Andrew, Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie, Sarah Ferguson, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, and yes, even little Archie and Lilibet. William's reasoning is brutally simple and strategically brilliant. If you take action against multiple royals at once, it can't be framed as a personal vendetta against any single individual. It becomes about protecting the institution, about streamlining the monarchy, about ensuring that only working royals who contribute to the nation get to keep their titles and privileges. It's constitutional housekeeping, not family drama. And critically, it provides political cover against accusations that the action is targeted or discriminatory. But King Charles is hesitating, and that hesitation is causing serious frustration among royal watchers and even within palace circles. Charles arrived in Rome to meet with the Pope, and he wants all the focus to be on that historic moment. He's dealing with serious health issues, undergoing treatment, and understandably wants his reign to be remembered for diplomatic achievements and continuity, not for family warfare. But here's the brutal truth. Until he takes action, until he authorizes the kind of sweeping change William wants, his reign will be completely overshadowed by scandal. The Prince Andrew situation perfectly illustrates the problem with half measures. Andrew agreed to stop using the Duke of York title, but he gets to keep living in his 40-room mansion. He maintains his royal privileges, and he's still Prince Andrew. His punishment, if you can even call it that, is being called simply Prince Andrew instead of the Duke of York. As one commentator put it, "Please may I be punished like this in life." It's a mockery, an absolute joke that makes the monarchy look weak and indecisive. Critics are getting louder and more pointed in their assessment of Charles's leadership. Royal commentator Canesite wrote on social media that people are tired of being taken for donkeys by King Charles, that there is no long game, just smoke and mirrors. Charles says what people want to hear to avoid backlash, but never follows through in any substantial manner because he's simply not interested in fixing issues when he can leave them to William to deal with. That's devastating criticism, and it's gaining traction because people can see the pattern playing out in real time. The constitutional question looming over everything is simple. Can the monarchy survive if it appears weak, if it can't discipline its own members, if it allows people who've abandoned their duties to continue profiting from royal titles? William understands the answer is no. Charles seems to hope the problems will somehow resolve themselves, and Harry and Meghan keep making things worse. There's an uncomfortable truth lurking beneath King Charles's hesitation to act against Harry and Meghan, and commentators are finally saying it out loud. Race. Specifically, the fear that stripping Meghan of her Duchess title will be weaponized and framed as a racist attack on a biracial woman. And that fear, according to royal insiders, is paralyzing Charles and preventing him from taking the decisive action the monarchy desperately needs. P Dina, the royal commentator who's been vocal about this entire situation, addressed this issue head-on. She believes race absolutely plays a factor in Charles's indecisiveness when it comes to Meghan. The palace is terrified that if they take Meghan's title away, American media and the Sussex squad will immediately cry racism, will claim the institution is punishing this black woman while letting white royals off the hook. And trust me, P Dina says in America they absolutely will make it about race, even though we know it's not. The palace has to be very careful. But here's where William's strategy becomes absolutely genius. By bundling the title stripping into one comprehensive action that includes Prince Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, Beatrice, and Eugenie, alongside Harry and Meghan, it becomes impossible to frame as racially motivated. You can't claim it's about targeting Meghan when white royals are facing the exact same consequences for similar behavior. It's not about Harry's wife, it's about non-working royals who've embarrassed the institution. It's not about Meghan's heritage, it's about protecting the monarchy's future. The political calculation makes sense even if it feels cowardly. Meghan has already accused the royal family of racism in that explosive Oprah interview. She claimed there were concerns about Archie's skin color, painted herself as a victim of institutional prejudice, and positioned the entire family as cold and discriminatory. If Charles strips her title in isolation, every media outlet will run stories about how the palace finally showed its true colors, how they drove out the biracial duchess and then punished her for speaking her truth. The narrative writes itself, but the counter-argument is equally compelling. By refusing to act out of fear of being called racist, isn't Charles actually treating Meghan differently because of her race? If Andrew, Beatrice, and Eugenie deserve to lose their titles for various reasons, and if Harry and Meghan have commercialized their royal status in direct violation of their agreement with the late Queen, then shouldn't the same standard apply to everyone regardless of who they married? Treating Meghan with kid gloves because of her heritage is arguably more problematic than treating her the same as everyone else. The really frustrating part for people watching this unfold is that Meghan herself has weaponized race repeatedly. She uses it as a shield against legitimate criticism, as an explanation for why deals fell through or why people don't like her, as ammunition against the institution that gave her a global platform. And now that same weapon is preventing Charles from taking action that would be completely justified based on behavior alone. It's manipulation at its finest, and it's working. Let's talk about just how far Meghan Markle has fallen, because the desperation is becoming impossible to ignore. This is a woman who married a prince, became a duchess, had the entire world watching her every move, and somehow managed to squander every single opportunity that came with that platform. And now, sources claim she's been reduced to catering events for D-list celebrities just to get invited to parties. The decline from Buckingham Palace to begging for invites is absolutely staggering. The AI campaign she just joined is another perfect example of her scattergun approach to staying relevant. What does Meghan Markle know about artificial intelligence, superintelligence? Absolutely nothing. But she'll attach her name to any cause, any campaign, any controversy if it keeps her in the headlines. Royal commentators pointed out that Meghan can't even decide what her own brand is supposed to be. She's launched lifestyle ventures that fizzled, podcasts that got canceled, Netflix deals that produced minimal content. She's so indecisive and unclear about her own life that watching her try to have opinions on complex technology policy would be comical if it wasn't so embarrassing. The pattern is crystal clear now. Meghan puts her hands in everything, commits to nothing, and leaves chaos in her wake. She wanted to be a humanitarian, but her charitable foundation raised questions about where money was actually going. She wanted to be a Hollywood producer, but her content deals haven't produced the blockbuster results she promised. She wanted to be a lifestyle guru, but her American Riviera Orchard brand launch was met with mockery and confusion. Nothing sticks because there's no authenticity behind any of it. And while Meghan flails around trying to find something that will restore her A-list status, her past keeps catching up with her. That's where Ninaki Priddy's viral moment becomes so significant. It's not just one old friend speaking out. It's a reminder that Meghan has left a trail of discarded relationships, burned bridges, and people who know the real her. Trevor Engelson knows the truth. The Markle family knows the truth. Ninaki knows the truth. And as Meghan becomes more desperate for relevance, more of these voices are willing to speak up. Harry has to be watching all of this with growing horror. He gave up his military titles, his relationship with his family, his home country, all for a woman who promised him freedom and happiness. Instead, he's trapped in Montecito, watching his wife catering D-list events and picking political fights they can't win. The life they're living now is nothing like what was promised. Meghan told him they'd be global humanitarian superstars, that Hollywood would embrace them, that they'd be more successful outside the royal system than within it. Every single promise has proven false. The really devastating part is that Harry can't admit any of this publicly. He's burned every bridge, trashed his family in multiple interviews and a memoir, and positioned himself as the victim of royal cruelty. To admit now that maybe Meghan wasn't honest about what their life would look like, that maybe her ambition exceeded her actual abilities, would be to admit he destroyed his entire life for nothing. So he stays silent while his wife's desperation becomes more obvious by the day. The walls are closing in on Harry and Meghan from every direction, and Ninaki Priddy's viral moment is just the latest reminder that you can't outrun your past forever. Meghan spent years carefully crafting an image of herself as a misunderstood humanitarian, a victim of institutional cruelty, a woman who just wanted to live authentically. But every person who actually knew her before the fame, before the royal wedding, before the carefully staged photo ops tells a completely different story. And those voices are getting louder. Here's the terrifying reality that should keep Harry up at night. If Ninaki Pretty, a childhood friend from age 2, can be dismissed and attacked and have her very existence questioned just for telling the truth about Meghan, what happens when Archie and Lilibet grow up? What happens when those kids who've been kept almost completely hidden from public view start forming their own opinions about their parents? What happens when they're teenagers with social media accounts and their own voices? You think the Sussex squad can memory hole 2 actual human beings the way they're trying to memory hole Ninaki? The monarchy cannot survive this level of ongoing chaos. Prince William understands this. Parliament understands this. Even royal watchers who've tried to give Charles the benefit of the doubt are running out of patience. One decisive action, one piece of legislation stripping titles from all non-working royals who've commercialized their status or embarrassed the institution would end this nightmare. But every day that passes without action is another day of headlines, another scandal, another embarrassment. King Charles wants to be remembered for diplomatic achievements and graceful leadership during difficult times, but history isn't going to remember his meeting with the Pope or his environmental initiatives if his reign is defined by his failure to discipline his own family. The Andrew situation is a joke. The Harry and Meghan situation is spiraling, and the longer Charles waits hoping these problems will somehow resolve themselves, the worse it gets for everyone involved. Meghan's desperation is showing. Her relevance is slipping. Her attempts to stay in the spotlight through random celebrity campaigns and D-list events are becoming more transparent and more pathetic. And as she becomes more desperate, more people from her past are going to feel empowered to speak their truth. Ninaki won't be the last. The pattern of behavior is too consistent, the trail of burned relationships too long, for this to end quietly. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. When even Meghan Markle's teenage best friend becomes a battleground, when conspiracy theories and viral posts are the only defense left against the truth, how much longer can this charade continue? How long before Charles realizes that protecting Harry and Meghan is actually destroying the institution he's supposed to be safeguarding? And how long before Harry finally admits what everyone else already knows, that he's been played? Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.